This is the story of a boy who was too small to grow, too fragile to dream, a boy from the dusty streets of Rosario, Argentina, who dared to chase the impossible. Doctors said he might never grow. His hometown feared his dream would die. But one tiny kid with a ball, a family willing to sacrifice everything, and a napkin changed football forever. From humble backyards to Barcelona's brightest lights, he stunned the world with every step. He carried a nation on his shoulders, faced heartbreaks, and rose to claim the ultimate glory. This is the untold story of Lionel Messi, from a sick kid to a football god. If you really want to understand Lionel Messi, you have to start far away from bright stadiums and roaring crowds. You have to start in a quiet neighborhood of Rosario, Argentina, a place of dusty streets, cracked sidewalks, and children chasing a football until the sun disappears. This is where, on June 24, 1987, a boy was born into a hard-working and modest family, a boy whose name would one day echo across the entire world. His parents, Jorge and Celia, didn't have much, but they had love, discipline, and a belief that their children could dream without limits. And from the moment little Leo learned to walk, it was obvious what he loved more than anything. He didn't just play football, he breathed it. In the backyard, in the streets, in the small park near his home, the football never left his feet. He invented games, challenged imaginary defenders, and created his own world where he was always the hero with the ball. Because of his tiny frame and lightning speed, the neighborhood kids gave him a nickname that would stay with him forever. They called him La Pulga, which means the flea. Small, fast, impossible to catch. At the age of 6, he joined the youth academy of Newell's Old Boys, and that is where his story truly began. His early coaches remember a shy boy who barely spoke, but the moment he touched the ball, he transformed into something else. Confident, creative, fearless. During those early years, he scored close to 500 goals, and his team became known as the Machine of 87. Old teammates still talk about his little scrapbook, where he wrote that he would one day become the best player in the world. It sounded like a fantasy, but no one doubted him. They had already seen the magic. In those early Rosario days, Messi's voice was quiet and gentle, but his talent was loud enough for the entire city to hear, and soon the whole planet would listen. But behind the smiles, the goals, and the rising whispers about a young genius in Rosario, a silent storm was forming. Around the age of 10, Messi's parents noticed something troubling. While other kids grew taller each year, Leo stayed the same. He was still the smallest on every team, still the smallest in every classroom. At first, everyone thought it was just genetics or a late growth spurt, but tests soon revealed the truth. Messi had growth hormone deficiency, a condition where the body does not produce enough hormones needed for normal growth. Doctors explained it in simple but painful words. Without treatment, Leo would not grow properly, and without growth, football would become impossible. The treatment existed, but it came with a price that felt like a brick on the family's chest. It cost between $900 and $1,500 every single month. For a modest working family in Argentina, this was an impossible amount. Their savings began to disappear. His father worked extra hours, his mother picked up whatever job she could find, all while trying to keep life stable for their children. Newell's Old Boys admired Leo. They knew his talent was special, but when it came to paying for his treatment, they hesitated. Meetings were held, promises were discussed, but nothing moved, and every day that passed made the situation more desperate. For young Messi, the pressure was emotional, not financial. He was afraid of missing training, afraid of losing football. The only world where he felt truly himself. Imagine a boy with hospital visits in the morning and matches in the afternoon. A montage of injections, doctors, and dusty pitches. Hope and fear side by side. Jorge Messi, his father, refused to give up. He contacted clubs across Argentina, begging for help. River Plate even showed interest, but they backed out once they learned about the cost. And then came the moment the family could no longer ignore. If Leo stayed in Rosario, the dream would end. Talent had hit a wall, and only sacrifice could break through it. Just when it seemed like every door in Argentina had closed, a spark of hope appeared from the other side of the world. Word of a tiny boy with unbelievable talent reached a man named Josep Miguela, who had contacts inside FC Barcelona. At first, the story sounded almost unbelievable. A kid so small, yet so magical with the ball. The defenders twice his size struggled to touch him. Curiosity turned into interest, and interest turned into an invitation. Barcelona wanted to see him, so the Messi family took the biggest risk of their lives. They traveled to Spain for a 15-day trial that would decide everything. And the moment Leo stepped onto the training pitch, the entire academy felt something different. He wasn't loud, he didn't try to impress with words, but when the ball rolled, he destroyed older kids effortlessly. He dribbled past them as if they were training cones, calm and fearless. Coaches stared in disbelief. Charles Rajac, one of Barcelona's directors, watched him and instantly knew they couldn't let this boy slip away. But there were delays, papers, doubts and frustrations. The Messi family was losing hope. So Rajac grabbed the nearest thing he could find, a simple napkin, and wrote out a promise to sign Leo. That napkin would become one of the most famous contracts in football history. Barcelona agreed to pay for Messi's treatment completely. The decision was life-changing. The family packed their entire world into a few suitcases and moved to Spain, leaving behind Rosario, their home, and everything familiar. But the new life was not easy. Young Messi lived in the La Masia dorms, shy and silent. He missed his mother, his friends, his city. Coaches recall how he barely talked. But the moment training began, he transformed. His work ethic was unreal. His talent seemed endless. Barcelona shaped him in every way: technique, diet, discipline, tactics and mindset, and that gamble on a small boy from Argentina would soon become one of the most important decisions in football history. As the quiet boy from Rosario sharpened his craft inside La Masia, it became clear that Barcelona were preparing something extraordinary. And in October 2004, at just 17 years and 22 days old, Lionel Messi finally made his official first-team debut under coach Frank Rijkaard. It was only a few minutes, but for those who watched him closely, it felt like the first glimpse of a storm forming on the horizon. Soon after, Messi found a mentor who would change everything. Ronaldinho, the king of Camp Nou at the time, took Leo under his wing. He shared his confidence, his joy, and even his spotlight. When Messi scored his first senior goal in 2005, Ronaldinho lifted him on his shoulders in celebration. It was a symbolic moment. One star rising, one star guiding. Messi's progress exploded. By 2007, he delivered one of the greatest hat-tricks in El Clasico history, scoring all 3 goals in a 3-3 draw against Real Madrid at just 19 years old. Fans around the world suddenly knew his name. Commentators began to whisper the word legend long before he earned it. Then the Guardiola era arrived, and football changed forever. In 2009, Pep transformed Messi into a false 9, a role that allowed him to drop deep, create attacks and score from everywhere. The result was a team that dominated Europe and a player who became unstoppable. That same year, Barcelona completed the treble: La Liga, Copa del Rey and UEFA Champions League. And then came 2012, the year that defied mathematics. Messi scored 91 goals across all competitions, a world record. No player before or after has ever come close to repeating it. He finished that year with another Ballon d'Or, part of a historic run that saw him win 4 consecutive Ballon d'Or awards from 2009 to 2012. Analysts spoke about the science behind his magic: his low center of gravity, his acceleration over the first 5 meters, his ability to change direction without slowing down, his vision that felt almost supernatural. Fans across continents collected Messi moments like precious memories. The little boy who once played on dusty Rosario streets had become the most dominant force the sport had ever seen. While Messi was building his empire at Barcelona, another battle was unfolding far from Camp Nou. The bright lights of the national team cast a shadow of expectation and doubt. Critics often whispered that he was more Catalan than Argentinian, questioning his loyalty. Yet every time Messi wore the blue and white stripes, he carried not just a team, but the hopes of a nation that demanded greatness. Messi made his World Cup debut in 2006 at just 18 years old. He scored against Serbia and Montenegro and dazzled audiences with his dribbling, vision and fearless runs. Argentina seemed poised for glory, But early exits, heartbreaks, and near misses became the story. The 2007 Copa America ended in disappointment, followed by narrow defeats in the 2011, 2015, and 2016 finals. Each loss weighed heavier than the last, and Messi, the boy once so free with the ball, began to carry the burden of a nation's longing. The pressure became unbearable. In 2016, after another heartbreaking Copa America final, Messi stunned the world by announcing his retirement from international football. Fans wept, critics celebrated, but after a few months, he returned, realizing the dream was bigger than any one moment of despair. The 2014 World Cup in Brazil offered Messi a chance for redemption. Argentina reached the final, where Messi's brilliance carried them past Nigeria, Switzerland, and Netherlands. Every match showcased his genius. 4 goals, 1 assist, and leadership that inspired millions. But in the final against Germany, a single goal in extra time shattered the nation's dream. Messi won the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player, yet the weight of Maradona's shadow and the near miss left a bitter taste. Time and patience eventually rewarded him. In 2021, Messi finally lifted his first major international trophy, winning the Copa America in Brazil, defeating his critics and uniting the nation in tears of joy. Then came the crowning glory, the 2022 Qatar World Cup. Messi scored 7 goals, delivered 3 assists, and led Argentina through a thrilling tournament that culminated in a 3-3 final against France, decided by penalties. When Messi finally lifted the trophy, the boy from Rosario, once doubted and pressured beyond imagination, had fulfilled the destiny of a nation. Messi's journey with Argentina was not just about football. It was about resilience, love, heartbreak, and the courage to carry an entire country's hope on his shoulders and finally to bring it home. After conquering Europe, Messi faced a new chapter in his life and career. In 2021, he made a shocking move to Paris Saint-Germain, leaving Barcelona after over 20 years. The transition was not easy. He faced new teammates, new tactics, intense media scrutiny, and the constant pressure of expectations. Goals came, but adaptation required patience, reinvention, and resilience. Messi proved he was more than just a scorer. At PSG, he became a creator and a leader, orchestrating play, mentoring younger stars, and guiding the team with his vision and intelligence. Records continued to fall. By this stage, Messi had amassed 7 Ballon d'Or awards, scored over 800 career goals, delivered 300+ assists, and collected more than 40 major trophies. Every statistic was a testament to a life devoted to excellence. In 2023, Messi left Europe again, this time joining Inter Miami and MLS. His arrival transformed American football overnight. Stadiums sold out, television ratings skyrocketed, and young players everywhere suddenly dreamed of following in his footsteps. Messi's influence reached far beyond the pitch. Children in small towns and big cities alike watched, imitated, and believed. Off the field, Messi remained grounded. His marriage to Antonella and his family life anchored him. Away from the spotlight, he quietly engaged in philanthropy, supported hospitals, children's programs, and grassroots football initiatives. Experts and former players often speak of him as the greatest of all time, not just for skill, but for humility, discipline, and character. The story of Lionel Messi is more than goals or trophies. It is a journey from the dusty streets of Rosario to Barcelona's glory, to the heights of the World Cup in Lusail Stadium, and now to the growing stages of Miami. It is a story of talent, sacrifice, resilience, reinvention, and humanity. As we close this journey through Messi's extraordinary life, remember, legends like him remind us that greatness is not given, it is earned. It inspires. It changes the world. If you enjoyed this documentary, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. There are more untold stories of greatness coming your way, and you don't want to miss a single one.